G'day cocktail lovers, this is my latest milk clarified cocktail, which must mean it's time for Milk Monday! Hopefully I've planned this properly to actually go live on Monday. Not that I think it's that big a deal, I just like silly phrases and alliteration, Milk Monday. And yeah, it's the internet, and we're in different time zones, and who knows when you're watching this. But you know, in spirit, I uploaded this on a Monday, so we'll just go with it. I'm quite keen to share this recipe with you because I genuinely think this may well be the best milk clarified cocktail I've ever made. I do have to confess it's not completely original, as in I was inspired by a cocktail I had when I was out, but I've tried to replicate it even though I didn't know the recipe, and I've come up with something that isn't the same, but it's so good. As a bit of background, a little while back I had a weekend away with my partner, place about an hour and a half out of town in Healesville. It's most famous for an animal park, like a zoo, essentially, get your photo taken cuddling a koala. But for me, it's the home of the Four Pillars Distillery. Other people may go to the Yarra Valley for the wineries, and there are dozens of those. I go for the distilleries, and the biggest is Four Pillars. They started independent, but were bought out by one of the big brands, Asahi, I think, for like $100 million. So, hee-haw, payday for the founders. And you can get their gins around the world. They do make very good gins, and they've got a great venue, and they make absolutely fantastic cocktails. And last time we went there were several milk clarified cocktails on the recipe, on the menu I should say, but this one, or the one that inspired this, was the yummiest one. Their cocktail was called the Malteaser Falcon, a bit of wordplay on the old movie, The Maltese Falcon, and I love wordplay. And Maltesers are a very popular confectionery treat in Australia, possibly marketed under the same name around the world. There are very similar things in most places, I think. It's malted milk flavoured centre, coated in chocolate little balls. And in my youth, it was closely associated with going to the movies. You get a box of Maltesers as a treat when you went to the movies, and there was a weird tradition of rolling Maltesers down the aisle, which I'm sure the staff hated, but that's a little memory from Gen X. In essence, this is meant to remind you of a Malteser, chocolate, malt, vanilla flavours. And they listed their ingredients. The key things was one of their limited edition gins, which they called a croissant gin, and I think they actually infused some pastry into the distilling process, but it was a limited edition that was all sold out, so I never got to have a bottle of it. I just had it in a cocktail, and they were using amaretto and some other similar flavors in there, so that was enough info for me. It was experiment time. I went through a few iterations using different flavored gins and some different liqueurs. I even tried one with whiskey and gin split, and that was actually quite nice. It was a much stronger taste than the ones that are just gin. But this final one, I'm actually doing a little experiment. I feel like I got it more or less right. This one, I'm splitting it between gin and brandy, and I think that might bring some appropriate flavors in. There's also a range of liqueurs in here: a vanilla liqueur, liqueur 43, amaretto, and a macadamia nut liqueur. Those are the sorts of flavors I think you should bring in if you're trying to make something like this yourself. You can also try, chocolate liqueurs, creme de cacao. I think white creme de cacao rather than brown. But these are the sorts of flavors I think go together. All this talking, I have not tried this particular iteration, and so I'm hanging out to try it. Is this a bit more subtle than the last one? Yep, I think this might be the best version of this yet. I'm going to show you how to make it. I made a big batch. You could make a single serve of this or a couple of serves. I'll talk ratios rather than actual measurements. In the description of the video, I'll put the measurements. I think it's easiest to communicate if, say, you're making a double of this. But I made much more than that. I have a bottle. I'm so glad it's yummy, and I have a whole bottle of it. But I'll show you how to make it. I did 2 parts of gin and 2 parts of brandy, then half a part of vanilla liqueur, half a part of amaretto, half a part of macadamia liqueur, 1 part of orange juice. Here's another flavour bit that I did in this. Rather than using milk for the clarification, I used custard. my initial inspiration for this is I was in the supermarket and there was a nice custard that was on special. I thought I could use that for clarification and it would give it a bit more flavour than milk. And it does. It's awesome. So we went with the cocktail mix, adding to the custard in a ratio of 3 to 4 parts of your cocktail to 1 part of the custard. Give that a little stir as you add the cocktail so it all goes together, and then you just let that sit for as little as half an hour. You can leave it a bit longer if you want to see very clear separation happening. Then we pour that through a paper coffee filter to let it run through. And as I always remind people, it isn't the filter that does the clarification, it's the curds. And the curds have to settle to the bottom of the filter. And so that usually means what goes through first will be a little cloudy. So you'll have to run that through a second time, or potentially run the entire cocktail through more than once. When that's finished, all that's left to do is pour your beautiful clear cocktail over some sexy clear ice. I'm serving it in a rocks glass. You could have always stirred this and served this up, but I'm always going to take advantage of the sexy clear ice. You might notice I'm wearing a different shirt to when I made the whole concoction. Usually this takes a few hours. This actually, I had a bit of hassle with this and I did have to do the whole thing more than once. And that takes hours and hours. So in other words, I made it on a different day and I'm tasting it today. Up until this point, my favorite clarified cocktail had been a painkiller, which is essentially a pina colada that has orange juice. And because I always have orange juice, because I'm peeling oranges for garnish and then I want to use them up, that's why I chose orange juice. Although I also think orange juice is more subtle in a clarified cocktail than lemon or lime. I make them with lemon and lime juice all the time, but orange juice works a treat as well. And often when I do this, people are going, that seems like a huge effort. Look, it isn't difficult. It just can be time consuming, but sometimes you just get an absolutely incredible result. And I love this. Like, this is going on my absolute favorite lists. My partner agrees. She doesn't normally go all in for my cocktails. This one though, she's just going like, we'll have one while we watch a movie on TV. Oh, I think I'll have another one now. It's that good. It's really addictive. It's not too sweet. The first iteration I made was too sweet, so you'll notice I didn't use sugar syrup in this, just the liqueurs for sweetening, and it works a treat. This is such a nice flavor. I recommend you try it. And like I said, I've done it with different flavored gins. I've done it with a split of gin and whiskey. This one, a split of gin and brandy. I thought this would hit the mark just about perfect, and I think it has. And although these are the liqueurs I used, you should improvise with what you have. I wanted those confectionery flavors, vanilla, amaretto, the nut flavors, and chocolate is a good element as well. But give it a go and either do the exact thing I did or improvise. I'm big on improvisation. I'm big on this cocktail. You should definitely try and make it. And definitely come back and see me sometime. I'll be doing some more. Hey, maybe another milk clarification sometime soon. Who knows? Depends what mood takes me. But I'm going to sit down and enjoy this because it's absolutely fantastic. Hope you're looking after yourself wherever you are, and I hope you look after people around you as well. And come back and see me as I make some more cocktails. But until I do see you again, I'll say cheers.